Well, it is time to pay. That's the message we're sending tonight for people who are abandoning their roles as parents to their children. Society often refers to these people as deadbeats. Tonight, with the help of local sheriff's departments and court records, we have uncovered some of the people who owe the most in back child support in the region, and we want your help bringing them to justice. Community watchdog Nate Morabito shows us how you can help. Nate?
Hey there, Josh and Sarah. As you can see, we've set up a phone bank here in our studio, asked some deputies to help us out. Over the next hour and a half, you're going to see people's pictures appear at the bottom of your screen. These are people who were told owe thousands of dollars in back child support. You see the first one right there, Charles Dempsey. Many of them are considered among the most wanted by area sheriff's departments. If you know these people, know where they may be. Sheriff's departments in Sullivan, Washington, and Carter counties want to hear from you, and phone's already ringing. These are people that are considered chronic non-payers. Another one, Philip Grindstaff there. This is the number you can call your tips into, 1-888-903-9545. Deputies really want to arrest these people because oftentimes the only way to really recoup some of this money for these children is to put these people in jail. Basically, they hold the key to their freedom. All they have to do is pay up and pay towards their balance. We found one man who owes $55,000 in back child support. As you can imagine, that's the equivalent for some families of 2 salaries. While single mothers and fathers often work 2 jobs and struggle to raise their children on one income, the other parent is sometimes absent in that child's life and occasionally doesn't offer any support at all. The child support system is supposed to prevent that, yet countless parents continue to live their lives without financially supporting the life they brought into this world. And those people, considered the minority, give a bad name to all of the other single dads and moms who are doing right.
It seems that a lot of these folks always find money for smokes, or they find, sometimes find money for beer and all these other things, but now, they can't pay their child support.
After weeks of investigating, we found parents who owe tens of thousands of dollars in back child support, more than $30,000, more than $40,000. One man, $55,000. If you know where any of these people may be, call this number, 1-888-903-9545. Tonight at 6, in a special community watchdog report, we'll reveal our Deadbeat dozen and tell you what the court system is doing to try to make these people pay now so they don't have to pay later.
Nate, thank you. Thank you to our volunteers here in the studio tonight. And this note, our work's already paying off. The Sullivan County Sheriff's Office told us Randall Mallett had outstanding warrants dating all the way back to August 2011. They told us he owed $34,000 in back child support. Well, guess what? After he saw himself Tuesday in our commercial promoting tonight's event, the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office says he picked up the phone and turned himself in. Throughout this evening, we'll be showing you pictures of people who owe thousands of dollars in back child support, many of them considered most wanted by area agencies. If you know any of these people, call the number on your screen.
And your tips could help investigators track down people who owe thousands of dollars in back child support. People like William Richardson, Howard Hensdill. If you know where these men are, call the number on your screen. Investigators are standing by to take your phone call.
Do you know where Eugene Russell Jr. is? He is one of the many in our region who owes thousands of dollars in back child support. And the list goes on. Joey Holmes also on the list. If you know where these men are, we have investigators and volunteers waiting to take your phone calls this evening. Just call them at the number there on your screen. Sarah?
Well, a judge says you're supposed to be receiving an extra $10,000 to $55,000 to help raise your child, but you just can't collect it. The reason? The other parent refuses to pay.
Society often calls these people deadbeat moms, deadbeat dads. Tonight it is time to pay, and we need your help. We're helping law enforcement catch some of the worst offenders in our area so that the children can collect some of the money that the court says rightfully belongs to them. With the help of our court records in the region, also the Carter, Sullivan, and Washington County, Tennessee Sheriff's Offices, tonight we've completed a list of the people who really need to be brought to justice. Community watchdog Nate Morabito tonight with how you can help catch them. Nate?
Hey, Josh and Sarah, over the next hour, you're going to see people's faces at the bottom of your television screen. These are people the local sheriff's departments tell us have active civil warrants out for their arrest. People who owe anywhere from, let's say, $9,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, up to $55,000. Terry Riddle, you see him right there, is one of those people, we're told. These are people who oftentimes, if they're arrested, that's the only way to really get any money out of them, because once they're arrested, the only way to get out of jail is to pay some money towards that back child support balance. So here's what we're doing. We've set up a phone bank. We've invited deputies from these area agencies to help us answer these phone calls. We want you to call that number, 1-888-903-9545. If you recognize any of these people on your screen, if you know William Richardson, call us up. These people would love to hear from you. We want your tips. These people, we're told, need to be brought to court, to jail, to get back in the system so they can eventually collect some of their money for their children. Now, the child support system says, look, we know you're seeing these people's faces on TV, but they really are the minority. Prosecutors, judges, enforcers tell us a few bad apples often spoil it for the rest of the good single mothers and single fathers who are doing right and who are paying up. Again, though, for these people, jail may be the only option. They're considered chronic offenders. But what about the rest of those people, the people that owe maybe a few $1,000s? It's still important that the courts collect that money for these kids. Well, what are the courts going to do to help make sure these people pay now so they don't end up in jail later? We're going to tell you coming up tonight at 6 in a special community watchdog report. At that time, we'll also reveal our Deadbeat Dozen, the 12 people who owe the most in the area when it comes to back child support. Until then, call in your tips to this number on your screen. Josh?
Nate Morbido, thank you, and thanks to our volunteers working tonight. Our work's already paying off. Melissa Carr, who was featured in our promotional commercial for this story, was arrested Tuesday before the event even happened tonight. Carter County authorities said she owed $30,000. Sarah?
Well, while single parents often work 2 jobs and struggle on one income, the other parent sometimes doesn't offer any support whatsoever.
It happens often, and the child support system is supposed to prevent that. Society labels countless moms and dads as deadbeats because they live without financially supporting really the other life that they brought into the world. And
it's the children that are actually losing out in all of this, and so we think it's time to pay.
After weeks of research, community watchdog Nate Morbido found people who owe $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, up to $55,000 in back child support. Nate?
Yeah, we're calling them our Deadbeat Dozen. Take a look. Agencies say these parents have civil warrants out for their arrests, some issued recently. So who owes the most? Well, the Carter County Sheriff's Office tells us Raymond Hyatt, this man right here, owes more than $55,000. There are plenty more who owe outrageous amounts, including people in Washington and Sullivan counties. After Randall Mallett, who owes $34,000, saw himself in our commercial for this story Tuesday, he turned himself in. Sullivan County said Mallett had an outstanding warrant for his arrest dating back to August 2011. Melissa Carr, also featured in that promo, was arrested Tuesday, too. Carter County said she owed $30,000. Sheriff's officers would love to put the others in jail, too, so they can recoup some of this money for these kids. Oftentimes, these people really hold the key to getting back out of jail. All they have to do is pay up. So we're in your corner trying to track these people down. Take a good look. If you know where they are, call our phone bank. Of course, these are people who are considered chronic offenders. These so-called deadbeats are the minority. One child support enforcement investigator says she banned that word deadbeat around her office because it doesn't encourage parents to be a part of the solution. And that's really the goal here, to get these people to want to help their kids without having to lock them up. She says giving them a derogatory title doesn't help, but some argue the current system doesn't help either.
We had to buy all new clothes.
Gina Jennings is the proud mother of a growing 11-year-old boy.
He's actually outgrew everything he's had. We've bought a new wardrobe twice in the past year.
Her son is a typical 5th grader.
That's the first arrow he shot.
But he has an unfair disadvantage at no fault of his own.
There's no excuse.
Something that brings his single mother to tears. His dad doesn't act like one.
It's his loss because he's missing out on a wonderful child.
His mom and dad's 10-year marriage ended in divorce in 2010. Since then,
I hate going to court.
Jennings has sat in child support court roughly a dozen times.
We leave there just furious.
Yet she doesn't have much to show for it.
It's the same thing over and over and over. You sit down and you wait on your turn to go, and then
you gotta fill out some paperwork.
Yeah, you gotta fill out your paperwork. And then he'll say, well, I don't have a job.
Over the years, Daniel Jennings has only paid around $1,000 in child support. Today, he still owes his ex-wife more than $4,300. And every week that passes, the number grows even higher.
Good food, good cold beer.
Yet still, he posts this on Facebook.
It says, spending the time with the love of my life at Bo Rooney's.
So someone has some money to spend.
Yeah. But he don't want to send it to his child, though.
We're raising him while he's out partying and having a good time.
It's so bad,
It's real depressing.
even the man's own father has had enough.
He don't want to pay nothing.
They're not just mad at him. They're mad at the courts, too.
The system don't work.
These families that say they can't collect their child support, they say the system is broken. And you say?
So the family system is broken. It's heartbreaking, and it makes me angry. The children are being neglected.
In her 25 years as child support magistrate,
I have women who have 4 and 5 kids with 4 and 5 different men.
Pageant Cox-Wilhoit has watched her caseload triple and the traditional family system slowly disappear.
The most egregious case was a man who had 17 children with 8 different women.
A parent only steps in front of her if he or she is the worst of the worst, someone who makes no effort.
If you refuse to look for work, just will not cooperate, and don't seem to care that you have this obligation for your children, then jail.
For her, jail is the last resort. As long as people look for a job or try for their GED, she's willing to give them a chance. Prosecutors say they are more successful when the courts encourage moms and dads to pay up before it gets to the judge.
What you want is for them to rearrange their priorities so that paying their child support is their #1 priority.
But that's not always easy, especially when you're dealing with two things near and dear to people's hearts: kids and money.
It may take a while to rearrange someone's priorities, and a lot of times, you just have to keep working with them and hope that once they get a job, they'll do everything they can to hang on to it.
Using that system, out of the nearly $15 million in court-ordered child support last year, the 3rd District collected more than $9 million, a 62.5% collection rate, making it the 3rd best in the state, something people here are proud of. They say those numbers prove there are more good outcomes than bad ones.
I do believe that it's working. It has its flaws, of course, they all do, but we are blessed here to have a magistrate.
Unequivocally, we're making progress. It's never going to be a perfect system because we're dealing with broken families.
They let them get by with this because they're not making them pay.
Unfortunately, Jennings hasn't seen that success. So far, the system has failed her and her son, recently reducing her ex's payments to just $60 a week. Even then, he's still not paying.
Do I want to go in there and sit side by side with him just so when we get up he can laugh because he doesn't have to pay anything? No, I don't want to do that.
For her, it's not about the money, it's the principle. Her next court date is in June. She can only hope eventually she'll become one of the success stories.
I know people that their kids are grown adults now and they still haven't received the child support that they were owed. So I don't think it's going to change anything. But I guess you can hope.
To be clear, her ex, Daniel Jennings, does not have a warrant out for his arrest. Jennings told me he's having trouble finding a job because he's a felon. In fact, he says he spent almost half of the last 3 years in prison. Part of the reason he's so far behind on his payments. But that's not his son's fault. He admitted he brought this on himself. He told me, quote, "My goal is to get a job and pay my child support. I'm not avoiding it. I'm trying," end quote. Bottom line, the system can only do so much. At some point, these parents have to take responsibility. Josh.
Nate Morabito, Nate, thanks. You can find the names of the people wanted for failure to pay back child support on our website, WJHL.com.